Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the movie Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, one Indy-rific action scene at a time. My name is Tom Taylor.
My name's Pete Mummert, mate.
My name is Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And I'm Josh Bell.
Hey, welcome back, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again. Hanging from the rafters by a bullwhip.
The magical bullwhip.
The magical bullwhip. We'll get there. Because in this minute 15, we get Mac explaining to Indy that he's had a bad run of luck at the cards lately. And the minute ends with Indy rear-ending Spalko in a truck. And we get the tail end of Indy saying, I thought we were friends, Mac. And then Mac explains, he said, the first thing he says is, well, I had a bad run of luck at the cards lately. And it's been really bad. And then he follows that up immediately with, I can't go home empty-handed again.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, the way he says that sounds really heartfelt. And like, I'm not kidding. I can't go back empty-handed again. But the way it sounds like, it sounds like the cards line was just like kind of like a tough guy euphemism or something. Because it sounds, I want it to mean that he and Indy have come up empty-handed as archaeologists and as adventurers and stuff.
I see, yeah.
And like, look, Indy, the Mexico thing we were just doing, that wasn't going to work. We got nothing to show for it. The one pot that we had got smashed outside the warehouse just now. And it sounds like there's been a string of that. And he's like, Indy, we've been trying, we're buddies, but we keep coming up empty-handed. I cannot do that again. I gotta have something to show for these things.
I like that because I was looking at it like he can't go home because his wife's going to be mad at, because it sounds like they need to get a new roof and he just keeps losing money. So he's going to have Indy killed for a new roof on the house.
I just figured he was an inveterate Uno player.
Right.
He's just looking at his hand.
Wild plus full, Indy.
Some clown dropped a reverse on him.
I can't draw 4 again. Not again.
Is it wild yellow? Now he's empty-handed. No, but I wondered what he actually says is, I had a bit of bad luck with the cards lately, mate. Awful, bloody awful. He says, I can't go, which, by the way, it took me 100 listenings to figure out that he says awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. But so is he speaking metaphorically, or is he just like a gambler?
See, I can't. If he is just a gambler, and by going home empty-handed, he means literally he has like no cash in his pockets. He's got his Hoover flags out. That's a little boring. But the idea that he's like, because he seems really upset when he says, I can't go home empty-handed again.
But he said the last minute he's a capitalist. So what else?
Yeah. But I mean, it all comes down to money anyway. But if the idea that what he's really upset about, and that what he's kind of desperate about, is that he and his buddy Indy have been going out and trying to find cool stuff, valuable stuff that they can sell to Marcus or somebody, and it hasn't been working out. He's like, I can't, this is our thing and it's not working and I can't handle it.
I love that reading of it, by the way, Tom. I think that's a great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That makes it much better for me.
And if we think about it, let's think about what we know about Indiana Jones. It's like he doesn't have the Chachapoyan idol. He doesn't have the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
He doesn't, it's ridiculous what he does with the Sankara stones. He just gives them back to the village.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
He may have pocketed a couple of crystals from inside or something, but we don't know.
Yeah, but we don't exactly. Then in Last Crusade, nobody comes out with like a chalice.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think Mac goes home and has to tell his wife every trip, like, no, I swear we saw it. We didn't bring it. We couldn't get it.
It's like, honey, I hooked up with Indiana Jones, the famous, that guy hasn't brought home one thing.
No, there's like literally that little dusting broom on his desk. They're
Yeah.
good pieces, Marcus. They're good pieces.
Marcus even took his
No, they're
apple.
not. Yeah,
Not
they're
if you're
not
after the
good
Cha-Cha
pieces.
Boy and Idol.
Yeah. I don't think he comes back with anything ever.
Well, what do you think, Josh? Is he just a gambler, or does he have a more emotional weight to his need?
Well, the problem with the rest of the movie, not to drag spoilers into it, he flip-flops. And so we don't know when he's lying and telling the truth. So this whole spiel here could be him lying. And this is the story he's given to the Russians. And he lied to them, and he lied to Indy. Because he's a double agent or a triple agent, or we lost count. And because we never get to know the character very well, we never understand his real motivations. We don't know. Is he bluffing here? Is he BSing and doing it poorly? Or is he sincere? And the movie can't tell us which it is.
Right. I guess thinking ahead a little bit, I feel like this is the one line where he seems sincere. Like he's kind of desperate.
Yeah.
Like, I can't go home empty-handed again.
But I think it says something about this movie that I don't care to find out when he's telling the truth or not. Like,
That's the last thing to be said about every Mac conversation. Well, who cares? And they did it to themselves. Yeah, they did all of the flip-flopping and everything.
Yeah.
He's barely introduced, and suddenly he's boringly mysterious.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be negative. Like, I like a lot of this movie, but I just think this Mac character is really poorly drawn.
But now we got 4 movies, and we have 3 of them have wooden cardboard, like nothing smuffin characters. We had Chatterlall.
I would argue with that one. Chatterlall.
But they didn't do anything with him.
They didn't do anything with him. But I don't think he was at all wooden.
He was maybe one scene
originally
away from being really interesting and cool.
Yes.
Maybe.
He was 1 or 2 scenes away. I loved him at the beginning, as we said, but he's just nothing. And again, Molaram kind of falls. He's just a, and that's, there's not that much. And then,
I'm going to disagree
we said like Donovan was sort of the same. Like Donovan was like a Scooby-Doo bad guy.
Again, I'm going to disagree a little bit.
And then here we got another guy in the movie that's just sort of like, I want to know more, but you know what? I have to eat my own foot because I don't know anything about Tote, but I love him.
Yeah, that's true.
But you want to know about Tote.
Yeah. Because he's weird enough and cool enough. I mean, he's probably like, I think Ronald Lacey probably made him incredibly interesting and awesome.
Yeah.
But what is it? Why is Mac not interesting? I mean, maybe some people find Mac very compelling, but to us, why is he not interesting?
I'm just wondering if right now, if he's not interesting on purpose, because in reality, he's not the actual sidekick in this movie. Like they kind of have to, but that doesn't work either. Like if you need to get him out of the way so that Indy can have an actual sidekick later on.
Because Wuhan was interesting, and Wuhan was only had 2 lines.
Yeah, see? And
I did like Wuhan.
Yeah. Wuhan was like, how did that work?
Katanga has like 5 or 6 lines, and he almost won our brackets competition.
I think maybe if they hadn't tried to make Mac more interesting by having him be a double agent and a backstabber and stuff, maybe he'd be more interesting. Or more likable, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if he's poorly cast. Like I don't know if the actor doesn't fit. I don't know what it is.
You could easily edit him out of every scene he's in, and it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah,
they could have taken him pretty much any direction. Make him more sinister. Make him actually know he really is on their side, and just no more twists. But he's just sort of hapless.
Yeah,
he's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if there's no big Russian? It's just Mac. Mac plays that role or something.
Yeah, and he doesn't really add any like knowledge or anything either. Like I'm not quite sure. He doesn't seem like this super skilled secret agent.
Yeah.
Well, so he's they're at the they're in Germany at the end of World War II, but then he's in Mexico on a dig. So is he an archaeologist?
Well, in the book he's there, but I don't know if we know in the movie that he was in Mexico.
Is he an actual archaeologist?
That I don't know. I don't know if they ever say.
Or is he like Sala, where he's like a digger?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he just? Because how many archaeologists go into archaeology after being like secret agents, or how many archaeologists become secret agents?
Yeah. Maybe he was a war buddy who became like just, like, hey, come with me. I'm going to, wherever to dig up a thing.
He's a professional sidekick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he's great at Uno.
What's the...
But he's just, maybe they had like a whole thing down in Mexico.
Although if it was Uno, he would want to go home empty-handed, wouldn't he? That would be the goal. I can't go home with 5 cards again.
I had a red draw too, just sitting there. What if it was the sort of thing like Indy was going to win but didn't say Uno?
Oh,
then
my
someone
God.
else blurted it out and he had to draw 4.
My son does that to me all the time. It drives me insane. I'm
It
always
was like it was
explaining
all
the
right
second
there.
to last card. I'm like, well, now you have to... Oh, I should have said Uno. Damn it.
Well, maybe it was crazy 8s. Oh my God. Well, so any defiant last words, Dr. Jones? Pete, I ask you, what would Indiana Jones' last words be?
I don't see him as a last words guy.
How about, can someone shut my office window?
I like that.
Or how about maybe Michelson chapter 4 and 5, but
Yeah.
just for fun?
I'll never be in my office again.
Exactly. Or what if he just grabbed his crotch and yelled, "Suck my misunderstanding"?
Perhaps.
I think I'm with you. I don't know if he's a last words kind of guy.
I don't really get this line either. It's like even the other characters are goading Indy into being like a James Bond kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I feel like this movie's trying to make him a lot more into James Bond than he has been in previous movies. And I feel like this line is one of those parts.
Yeah. It's like, like the writers of this movie, like if you don't have a good line for Indiana Jones for what his defiant last words are, don't ask him what his defiant last words are. Like this exchange doesn't have to be here.
Is he famous for defiant last words? Like, is that why maybe like during the last 10 years, all he's done is like defiant last words? Like, is that why Spalko asked him that? Like, why would she ask him this?
Yeah, that's not really his thing. Is it?
That's the one thing I wondered. Yeah,
But
that's
maybe it
super
became his
James
thing
Bond.
during the Cold War. Like, since he became
Well,
a spy.
so what I want to know is, how much does she know? Does she know what the alien looks like? She knows, does she know that Indiana Jones always has defiant last words? Like, she's like, I know about this guy. I'm going to he always has a clever quip right before he's about to die, except he's still alive.
Well, this one makes a little more sense than this one could make sense, I guess, if he became that guy, since she's Russian and he's fighting, the Soviets.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess she's Ukrainian, but I guess she could, since they've been on opposing sides of this battle, he might have a reputation in the intelligence community.
Yeah, maybe. But like that would, well, yeah, I don't know. That's
But
weird.
it doesn't seem like Indy to me. Like, he doesn't seem like a famous last words kind of guy.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
he did, to be fair, he did have, if they were his last words, they were incredible. If you want to talk to God, let's go talk to him together. I got nothing better to do. It's one of the best lines in the movie. And that's in his mind at that moment. Those are his defiant last words.
That's
true. God, that's so good.
Yeah. So if you can't
is.
top that, don't ask Indiana Jones a question that he has a lame answer for.
So he does have an answer here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's odd. He says, I like Ike.
It just, I mean, to my knowledge, that's just like a, 50s Eisenhower era catchphrase. Like, he's kind of saying like up with America or something, or, USA, I like Ike.
Maybe. I don't, but the I like Ike thing came in the really early 50s because it was kind of the first, this marketing guy came up with this slogan because both parties were trying to draft Eisenhower to run for president with their party.
Oh, really?
And so this guy put together like a grassroots movement, and he had a song, and he had like these commercials, and he was trying to get people to, everyone said, I like Ike, because they wanted him to say, okay, I'll run. And it ended up working. I think it's the only time that ever worked. But it seems like by the time 1957 comes around, that's like Bart Simpson saying, don't have a cow, man. Like you're cowabunga dude. Like it seems like it's kind of tired, like for his last words.
I mean, it sounds tired in 2008,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
This is
insert
annoying.
gratuitous 50s reference here.
Yeah.
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 I like the Big Bopper. It falls completely flat. It's really rough.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And the music even does that little like build and then pause to like, I like Ike.
Does Indy know, where he says, you got it, pal, and he drops his gun? Does he know the gun is going to discharge?
Oh, yeah. Well, before that, Dovchenko's weird English where he says, put down gun.
Yeah. Moose and squirrel.
if he dies, he dies. That from Rocky IV.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Jerry, I think he does know, because he looks right at the guy whose foot's about to get shot right before he drops the gun.
Yeah.
He lives in a world of
Yeah.
movie physics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
The gun has a side, do not drop on this side.
Do not. Yeah. Warning: danger of toe shot.
Yeah.
But I know this has probably become quite evident in these podcasts. I know very, very little about guns.
Mm-hmm.
Can you set a gun so that when you drop it, it will go off? Or I wonder if that's rare to when you drop a gun, it will go off.
Without looking, I can tell you there's an entire TV tropes page about that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That never happens.
really?
But I don't know.
Okay, I know nothing about them either. And I was going to say, well, I would think that if it's cocked and ready to fire, then yeah, dropping it would jar things and make it fire. But
I mean,
maybe
that's
not.
basically his move. It's his distraction move.
Yeah. He's not dropping
Yeah.
the gun to be taken prisoner or killed or anything.
Nah, he's
Right. He's going to shoot
he's
that
like,
guy's foot off.
I can't shoot the guy point blank just right now. So if I drop it, it'll buy me literally 1 second.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, though. That, to me, this might be the most viscerally violent part of any of these movies. Like, just imagining your toe getting shot head on like that. Ugh. That just seems really
That is really
painful.
rough.
Like, rip my heart out, Mola Ram. I'd rather that than, like, shot at me. You might be safe with those spacer things you were talking about the
The
other minute.
weirdest thing.
He doesn't need a spacer anymore. He's got like a
Yeah, he doesn't
3-toe
need a
gap now.
spacer anymore. The weirdest thing is when he does that. He at second 26, it's like the gun goes off. It shoots, the big bad, Russian in the toe. He kind of hops around, and there's the weirdest shot of Indy's face where he looks completely lost in old person reverie, and he's just like, is it safe to go? Am I wearing Depends?
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really odd. Do you
He's
see,
standing
look at it.
perfectly still for a second with all this
Yeah.
mayhem going on.
All this, and he's standing perfectly still, thinking about something or peeing.
He is.
Yeah, maybe just letting it go. Ooh,
Today
there
will be
it
raspberry
is.
jam.
Oh, there it is. No, so long UTI infection, and he's
I
just
shot
like,
that man in the foot.
yeah, and then he takes off.
Yeah.
But it's a really strange shot.
That is weird. Yeah, he is completely lost in
Because he's completely in control, so much that he's going to drop a gun with a "you got it, pal," John Wayne style, and then he knows the gun's going to shoot the guy in the toe,
Mm-hmm.
and then he completely forgets everything. He's like totally blank faced for a minute.
Poor Indy.
He just now what was I doing?
Give me a minute, fellas.
I think is the microwave is it a 1 for power 10 heat? Do I need to pre-bake on the taquitos?
I do have to say though, immediately after that, with the Raiders theme under a lot of like kind of poppy, squishy sounding gunshots. It's very Raidersy.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Yeah, it's fun. Like it's just this minute is fun. Like it's very kinetic. It moves fast. Although, are the Russians worse shots than the stormtroopers?
They are not good shots. Yeah,
they're like 2 feet away from a 60-year-old man very slowly climbing up a crate, and their shots aren't anywhere close to him.
Yeah.
Do we blame the magic magnetism? I think that stopped a few minutes ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
They got them dead in their sights, but the bullets are all kind of drifting to the side.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
They should have a magnet issue in every scene like that with stormtroopers or Nazis or anybody, just to explain why the hero is fine.
Yeah.
Who said first?
No, we're on the same We're on the same I love this whole little Indy thing. He scrambles up the crates and the bullwhip comes out. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully done. It's a great stunt. You're like, oh my God, dun 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 dun. It's just I'm full on. And then
what?
Yeah.
What do you mean what? Like he swings. He's about to get on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
And the bullwhip doesn't make it all the way. And it like he goes, whoa. And it's like,
I think that's funny. That to me, that's pure Raiders.
Classic Indy.
Yeah.
I'm losing my Tom Relibrium right now because I think that's funny and fine. I think that's the intention of that joke, and I think it works.
I like it's fine that it's too short, and I like that. But then he lands right in the middle of the truck, and it turns into 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana, 4.
No, to me that truck scene also seems straight out of Raiders. Like that could be like
he lands and he sits for like 6 or 8 seconds, and he's like, "Damn! Now, did I leave the dryer on?
Now, which one of you should I punch first?"
Yeah, literally. Which
Hold
one?
still.
And it gets really, really like Hanna-Barbera, goofy, silly for me. I'm sorry. Turns way banana splits like boop-a-doo, whoop.
The only part of that whole sequence that I'll give you that about is the sound that he makes when he's swinging backwards is kind of like it doesn't sound a thing like Indiana Jones.
No. I don't have a problem that the bullwhip doesn't make it, and he actually crash lands pretty violently into the truck.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, you're setting this up.
And he says, damn, I thought I was closer. That's a pure classic Indy line.
That's, you know what that's like? That's like knocking out a Nazi for his uniform and it's too small.
Yeah.
Yes, but think about that. When he does that, it's completely different. He actually takes the Nazi's yelling at him, and he starts combing his hair, and he's distracted, and he doesn't sit there and give the line, like he doesn't give that Nazi like a full-on joke. Like he looks directly at us and says, I thought that was closer. And then he's like, let me cock my elbow back. And that's what's wildly different about that Nazi scene. He hits that Nazi like while he's combing his hair and he's getting yelled at, and it's a complete surprise. He hits it, he like knees him in the rucksuckle.
When the guy falls off with the ladder in Raiders during the truck chase, and he lands on the windshield, there's the exact same moment where they're both surprised, like Indy surprised looking at him and he's surprised looking in, and they both chuckle at each other. And it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, but I did go down saying that that's one of the goofiest moments in the entire movie.
I think even I said that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, the way he punches him and the guy goes woo off the cliff. It was also the dirtiest, darkest.
Yeah,
one of the darkest moments in the movie. Yeah. But this is, I mean, look, if I'm outnumbered, it's okay.
If that moment with him sitting between the two guys went on 1 second longer, I'd kind of agree with you. But I actually think the timing is fine. That he's like amazed and mutters to himself and then punches the guys. I think it works out okay.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
I think if he had no line at all, and he landed and he crashed on a dude and then he punched another dude, that would be fine. You know what? They're doing the pilot in the tunnel of Last Crusade. that is what they're doing here.
Yeah,
and if that's what they're doing. I don't even mind that the bullwhip doesn't make it all the way, except, I mean, I get what they're saying. They're like, oh my God, it's so close, but he's an old man now. He misjudged it. He's nearsighted. Get it? He's old and nearsighted. And you're like, sure, that's kind of cool. So what's he going to do? I don't
even take that as like an old thing. I take it as like, this is bound to happen. Like, you can't just be running and whip the thing and then go after a truck.
The guy just pulled a gun over to Mac with his bullwhip. The dude's killing it with a bullwhip. He's killing it with a bullwhip. He does not make mistakes with the bullwhip.
I like to see him make a mistake with it. I like that he makes a mistake with it.
Okay.
Sit down.
I would like to hear your thoughts too, Josh. Especially, is this a realistic use of the bullwhip?
Oh my. So first off, I enjoyed it. I thought the callbacks to some of the humor in the truck chase, as mentioned, including when he's fighting with I can't remember what you all called him, the dad driver.
Oh yeah,
the Nazi dad.
The Nazi dad, yeah. But in terms of the throwing the whip and swinging on it, I think people have pointed out on the internets that it's vaguely plausible that you can crack a whip, get it to wrap tightly enough, and then have it hold your weight if you're extremely lucky and don't care about the whip. But they're not designed to hold the weight of a human. Other entertaining things. Yeah. Other entertaining things here is if you look at the last minute, you can see Indy holding the whip and you can sort of see the length of it. It's as tall as he is, plus a few feet here and a few feet there. And it's a 10-foot bullwhip. You measure a bullwhip from the end of the handle all the way through the length of the handle and what's called the thong, which is the braided part of the whip, to the end. And then there's two more parts, a fall and a popper, that add 2 or 3 more feet on the end of it. So he's got a 10-foot bullwhip. But if you look at how he's swinging, that's much longer than 10 feet. And it's actually filmed in a slightly less egregious way than Temple of Doom. There's a scene in Temple of Doom where he's swinging when he's first entering the temple. And he whips, I think, an elephant trunk and swings. And they cut back from a short shot of him throwing the whip with probably an 8-foot whip to him swinging. And the whip is suddenly 20 feet long. It's like he's swinging on a Tarzan vine. And the same thing happens here.
Yeah.
And the way they did it is they made special whips for those scenes where they would braid a whip over a steel cable as the core so that they could fix it. I don't know what other special effects they used in this one, but they made special whips like that for both Temple of Doom and for this movie.
Now, does the fact that he's swinging from a lamp, like the hanging lamp, does that mitigate that at all? Like maybe it is not quite as long as it seems because part of that length is the lamp or something. I don't know.
I haven't looked in. I haven't done the full detailed analysis. I'm sure someone out there on the internet has done the frame by frame. But yeah.
I will say I think it's a testament to how well Steven Spielberg paces action that this has never occurred to me until you brought this up, Josh. Like I never even thought about the whip being different lengths.
Yeah, they use different lengths for like street fighting scenes where it'll just be 6 feet, and then it'll be a much longer whip when it's hanging on his belt, so it looks more dramatic. The things you notice when you've been playing with them for a while. Like this scene, you could also see the whip really well and see that it's very different in style from the whips that he used in the previous 3 movies. It's got
to my untrained eye.
It's much darker. The body of the whip is also much thicker, and the knots are much squarer. And apparently, it was an Anthony DeLonge's thing where what's called the wrist loop, although you never put your wrist through it, has a knot tied in it, and that's apparently an Anthony DeLonge's signature thing. Anthony was his trainer for this. It just gets the.
Now you said that they're not meant to or not able to hold a human's weight. What are they actually? What's a typical bullwhip actually made out of?
So they're the good ones or the preferred material is actually kangaroo hide. And and so the whips here and in most of the Indy movies would have been made out of kangaroo hide. There's a little uncertainty about the ones that were used in Raiders because there was an embargo on exotic animal product exports and imports in the 70s. So it's possible that the person who made them for the first several movies, David Morgan, just had off-the-shelf ones made out of young cowhide called kip. And you can make whips. Again, kangaroo is the preferred material because it's very strong. The whip doesn't get looser and looser quite as quickly over time as other materials. But they can also be made out of nylon. They can be made out of, actually for training, we've just recently picked up one that was just cast out of rubber. It's not a great whip, but it didn't require a ton of manual labor to braid it, which really reduces the cost. So it might be a good thing for beginners.
Cool. That's weird.
It's funny. Like I never considered like he's got this Australian weapon.
Yeah.
Made out of kangaroo hide.
He's international.
So the cowboy, like the Cowboys.
Well, that wouldn't have been.
Did the bullwhip come out of Australia?
No.
Or would their whips?
So I am by no means an expert on the history of it, but the Cowboys, it would have been cow leather. And I've got a few whips I have just because they're just beautiful. They're like Mexican tourist whips, but you let anything age for 50 years and it starts to look really gorgeous and has a nice patina on it.
Yeah.
People have been making whips for thousands of years, so they'll make them out of practically any material. Basically just requires a taper.
Would they have had access in the 30s to kangaroo hide?
I have no idea.
Was
I doubt it. I don't know what the fictional history of the whips might be.
Yeah.
Right.
We see him pick up his first whip in Last Crusade, and when it's with the lion tamer or the lion tamer's whip.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And again, that's a thing where you'd use it to make noise, not hit the animal. And he's doing all the wrong things. He's correctly doing all the wrong things when he's cracking it there, or he's pulling it towards himself and giving himself that scar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
Not
first
wearing eye
whip lesson.
protection.
We kind of sped past it, talking about this whole sequence as a whole, but the shot of him running along the top and then as he's running, like whipping the lamp and then swinging right off the thing is really, really cool. It looks incredibly fun. And it's very Spider-Man. It's like he's just running and he shoots out the whip and he just keeps swinging and it's very cool.
And it's a great shot because the camera, it's one shot when he goes up the crates and across the top of the crates, and then when he whips onto the lamp, it's all one long shot.
Yeah. And so you're like, is none of that Harrison Ford, or did they like switch it somehow, like in mid shot, or because I don't see Harrison Ford just swinging off a thing.
The point that he, whips onto the lamp, I mean, it's seamless.
Yeah.
It just is incredible. I love this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just not the very end of that little thing.
Okay. Well, apparently the studio was adamant that they used CGI whips in this movie because they were worried about Harrison Ford hurting himself.
Really?
And he absolutely refused. He said, "No, I'm using an actual whip."
Yeah, God, that would have been horrible.
Especially, the way some of the effects turned out in this movie.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you could see though if you're like studio brass and you want to protect, your star.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, I guess, their point, but yeah, I think it's good that Harrison Ford stood up to do the actual whip.
Is it safe to say though, Josh, that if you're at all experienced with a bullwhip and you're using it the right way and you know what you're doing, you're really not going to hurt yourself?
Yep. I mean, random things can always happen. But yeah, if you're assuming you know what you're doing, the whip is moving away from you. Especially with the cracks that
ideally, yeah.
I mean, you can, if you're doing routines like in Raiders, when Indy's doing in Cairo and he's trying to just scare the crowd away from him, he's doing a whole bunch of cracks where he cracks it forward and then pulls the whip back towards himself to crack again. And even there, the whip is not moving very quickly when it's coming towards him. So that's, if you're doing fast routines where you're doing multiple cracks in front of you and behind you, then that's where, like, yes, you will be wearing eye protection. And I could see a studio getting nervous there. But for the stuff Indy's doing here, at least on his own, I don't know how his targeting skills are when he's whipping towards somebody to grab their gun. The person throwing the whip will be fine. And I think I seem to recall Harrison Ford did some morning talk show around the time Crystal Skull came out, and they were asking about his whip throwing, and he did some whip tricks, gentle sidearm crack, knocking something off a table demos.
Really?
Wow.
So he knows his stuff.
Killed a cameraman.
Do you, Josh, do you ever, other than, just for funnin', do you ever use the whip practically in your life?
Nope. No, it is purely
I get a beer from the fridge.
Would you like to?
Well, if it's like anything, I think people probably, they take their first karate class and they're like, I'm going to beat somebody up with it. It's like, I could do so much with it. No, it is a completely impractical tool for nearly everything. Obviously, people can find creative uses for anything, but I'm just into the showing off. There are folks that are very into like whip cracking routines. If you hop on the internet, Australian whip crackers will use a different kind of whip called a stock whip that is a much longer handle, and they'll often have one whip in each hand, and they'll be doing very intricate cracking routines, and it's almost like they're playing music or drumming, actually, because it's a very percussive sound. But I'm totally an Indy wannabe fanboy, so I'm out in the park working on.
That's what you're doing here.
Working on some, working on targeting and wraps, and just being able to make the whip do one thing, followed by another thing, followed by another thing, or teaching others how to do it.
Cool.
And I have to say, when I was out there with you, and if you ever have a chance to see a bullwhip live, the sound it makes is just so visceral. You don't get that feeling when you watch it on a movie, but when you hear that sound in real life, it really hits you right in the gut.
Yeah, actually, this minute,
I would think so.
This minute, when he's cracking the whip to do the jump, they've got the Foley, and I'm not sure the timing is right, but in these movies, the Foley for the whip is often this whoosh wind up and then a whoosh forward followed by a crack. And that's legit. That's how it sounds. If you're using a longer, heavier whip, it's much more noticeable. This isn't like punches. The whip sounds actually are pretty accurate.
Cool.
Now I have to ask, because I'm a nerd and I like derailing things, but would you have you ever had the chance to analyze Mark Mothersbaugh use of the whip in the Whip It video by Devo?
I have not.
All right. Well, next time.
It's really weird. He cracks that whip.
He does crack that whip.
Like the blouse flies off.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to tell me, Jerry.
Yeah. Is that how that works?
It's interesting when Indy whips the light fixture, the light is not leaning towards the alien.
Yeah, none of those lights.
The magnetism.
They're all just back to.
They opened the box. They forgot about that.
Yeah, they voided it. It's not mint in the box anymore. One nitpicky thing: how does the whip let go when he's swinging back?
Well, that's one of the problems with these sorts of ideas. Too. Whether when you're wrapping something,
you made it sound like it should never have held on in the first place.
Well, there's the holding on, not necessarily a problem. There's the holding your weight. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But then there's the unwrapping it, and of course, with movie physics, it always unwraps immediately. It holds on just as long as you want it to hold on, and then lets go as soon as you want it to. One of the things we do when we are out practicing in the park is we'll have wrap targets, and this is like a cardboard tube, and you can whip, and the end of the whip curls very nicely around the end of the tube, and half the time you can just wiggle the whip and it drops off. The other half of the time you're like, and you stomp over and you untie it. Things that happen in real life, but not the movies.
Yeah. If you watch in right around second 47, he does a weird little pull down yank on the whip.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as if that's supposed to perfectly unwind it, I guess.
Right.
Which is pretty incredible that they said. I mean, at least he makes the motion that if you're not a bullwhip enthusiast, you go, oh, that's how he did it.
Yeah. He does the disengage flick.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the disengaged flick, this just in from Professor Christy Porter. Dovchenko. What's his name?
Dovchenko.
Okay. He's played by, oh boy. He's played by Igor Shishinkin, who was a circus performer and I guess wound up in Las Vegas, but was also the face of the video game Red Alert. Wow. What video game or product would you be the face of? Tommy?
God.
Video game or product would you be the face of?
Let's just say Qbert. Slap my face on the side of a Qbert cabinet.
Pete, what would you sell?
Maybe like Burger Time.
All right.
How about you, Josh?
We're going old school with these. I'll confess, I don't know if I'm the only one, but in the early 2000s, I played a lot of a game called Snood.
Oh, yeah. I was a Snood fan.
Forgot about that for 20 years and just watched a review of it again. And yeah, kind of addicted to it again.
I feel like a mouse detective. Mappy.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You'd be proud to be on the side of Mappy.
Yeah, I would be.
I don't know if I've ever actually played Burger Time. I just am really hungry, and a hamburger sounds really good.
Oh, it does sound good. Even like a fake 8-bit hamburger sounds really good.
Was that where you had to like do it really fast, right? Like you had to keep up with customers' orders?
No. You're thinking of Tapper.
Oh,
that does sound like Tapper. You're like making the burgers, though, aren't you? Aren't you like, or you're collecting the ingredients
Burger Time,
for a
when
burger?
you walk, how could you? You guys, no, you walk across the bun, and the bun drops a level. The whole point is you make the burgers and there's each sort of condiment or level of the burger. You know, you have to walk across them, and then the bun will fall on the lettuce, and then you have to walk across that, and it falls on the tomato, and then you walk across that, and it falls on the burger. Like you have to build the burger by kind of walking across the bridge of condiments.
I don't want to lend my name to that kind of lack of hygiene with food preparation. So I'm taking that one back.
I would just like to say, I said that in Burger Time you make the burger, and Jer acted like I was crazy, and then he described the game in which you make a burger. I mean, you went into a lot more detail. I was clearly missing the point that you have to go like level by level and do it in the right order and stuff, but you're making a burger.
But you're not making it for customers. You're making it so you can run away from eggs and sausages.
Oh, no, Pete's insane. Pete was thinking about Tapper. He's out of his mind.
I was thinking of Tapper.
I never thought you were making it for customers. Trying out loud.
High concept games from the early
80s. All right. We're going to let everybody off the hook by going to bed. Everyone, have a beautiful weekend. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you want to leave the people with?
Well, thanks for having me. Well, first off, I'll plug again, same as last minute, that if you're in the Bay Area and would like to try cracking a whip, go to sfwhips.com, and we've got a schedule and location on there. At this point, we're only getting together about once a month, but you can join a mailing list and get in touch. And everyone's welcome. No experience necessary, no materials necessary. Come in and we'll get you making miniature sonic booms in 15 minutes or less.
Excellent.
Other thing I wanted to plug is, first off, thanks to the Indiana Jones Minute crew for covering one of the Young Indiana Jones episodes.
Oh, sure.
What actually got me into whip cracking was around the time Crystal Skull came out. I was like, oh, hey, Indiana Jones, that's a thing I used to be into. I used to listen to these soundtracks from Young Indiana Jones when I was going to school, and I had the CDs. And so hopped online and started looking for are there websites about Indiana Jones, and were any more CDs that came out? And I fell into the whip cracking rabbit hole, but also I'm a big fan of the music from the Young Indiana Jones series. So if you want to know more about the music, you can go to a site I put together called youngindianajonesmusic.com.
Wow.
Awesome.
Cool.
So you just sort of like curate stuff there and talk about where it came
There
from?
were 4 soundtrack releases in the 90s. So not a lot of the music, because there were 22 episodes, chapters. The numbering gets complicated. But it turns out a bunch of the video games, like Lego Indiana Jones, used music from Young Indy that hadn't been released.
Oh, wow.
So we've been able to sort of piece together partial soundtracks, and especially some of the better episodes. One that I'd recommend you cover is Attack of the Hawkmen. And it has an absolutely wonderful soundtrack that's never been released. But if you know where to look on the various video games, you can piece together your own soundtrack for it.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Cool.
That's awesome. You're a music archaeologist in a way.
Yeah, that's
finding the
very
pieces
cool.
and putting them back together. That's awesome. Speaking of Young Indiana Jones, as Josh mentioned, we have a bonus show over on patreon.com/Indiana Jones Minute. And over there, you could, for a low recurring monthly fee, you can get access to our bonus show, Anything Goes, in which we cover in a sort of long/short form many other things like other Steven Spielberg movies, other summer blockbusters. And yes, we've done at least one Young Indiana Jones episode, and maybe we'll do more. It sounds like Josh can steer us in the right direction, which ones to cover. So join us over there, and certainly please have a beautiful weekend, and come back on Monday for minute 16 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Give the past a slap.
That was burger time. Didn't it make that music, that noise?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Or was that Domino Man?
Oh, maybe that was
It's
Domino
whatever
Man.
was next to Tron at Arnie's Arcade. That's all I ever heard.
Oh, how could you?